Thank you all very much for having me, and I want to thank you, Chairman O'Toole, for your cooperation, your courtesy, and for your good service. To Vice Chairman Jeffrey Linford, pleasure to be with you, sir, Commissioner Bagger, Commissioner McCabe, Commissioner Pacino, Commissioner Alicia Eve, Horowitz, Gary LaBarbera, George McDonald, Rosanna Rosado. Pleasure to be with all of you. Also a pleasure to be with your great executive director, Rick Cotton. He looks very relaxed in this position. I can only imagine where he worked before if he looked so relaxed in this situation, but it looks like it's serving you well. I'd also like to welcome the men and women of labor who are at this very, very important hearing and thank them for their attendance. Let me begin by applauding the leadership of the Port Authority. You've been working very hard and diligently to fulfill your powerful mandate, and you've been doing it very well indeed. The Port Authority has a proud history as a visionary creation, recognizing the intelligence of regional planning and multi-state coordination. 1921, it was a national precedent requiring congressional authorization. I have worked to facilitate our bi-state relationship. The Port Authority is very important to the state of New York. I understand the unique nature and challenges of a bi-state relationship, and we have been working to fulfill our end of that partnership, working with Governor Christie, with Senate President Sweeney, and now your new governor, Phil Murphy. You, my friends, have an awesome responsibility, but you also have an awesome opportunity, restoring the port to its former glory and its national reputation for performance and progress. While President after President of the United States right now promises to rebuild this nation's crumbling infrastructure, we've had many words and we've had little action. The current president promised during the campaign a $1.5 trillion infrastructure program. That just disappeared, and Lord knows we need it. The Port Authority is actually doing it. Your recent accomplishments have breathed new life into the mission of the port. The new Goethals and Bayonne bridges, the new terminal at LaGuardia, and JFK, the new terminal at Newark Airport, you are making a real difference. It is amazing to me still that LaGuardia Airport will be the first new airport in this nation in 25 years. You wonder how. You wonder how it's taken that long, but it's only fitting that the Port Authority is leading the way. I also believe that we have additional areas to focus on in the coming months. We still need bi-state legislation to implement the necessary reforms for the port, and I look forward to working on that. I also believe there's an opportunity and a need to coordinate security and security technology among all our facilities. The regional nature of the port is paramount, and having a security system that is regionally coordinated as we fight yet another generation of terrorism, I think, is essential, and we look forward to working on that. However, the Port Authority has a powerful opportunity before you today, an opportunity to make history once again. As you lead now in physical development, I believe you can also lead in policy development, addressing one of the most pressing issues facing society and government today. As we meet here today, this nation is paralyzed with unprecedented political polarization. I believe its genesis is less political and it is more economic. It's more accurate and constructive to view it as an economic issue than a political issue, because then it can actually be resolved. There is a common denominator that connects both ends of the extreme. And that is the fear and anger and emotion that people feel from the economic injustice that is very real in their lives, and the economic despair that they feel as a result. FDR, great governor of the state of New York, said in 1938, when he passed the minimum wage, that the minimum wage was a living wage. It was more than basic subsistence. It was the wage that would provide a decent living. And the simple, undeniable truth is too many working men and women and middle-class people are fulfilling their side of the bargain, but they are not enjoying a decent living. That is the undeniable truth. Today's minimum wage, federal minimum wage, is worth less than it was 50 years ago. Had you just indexed the minimum wage in 1968, today it would take you to $15 an hour, just indexing where it was in 1968. The middle class is going backwards. Working men and women are going backwards. That is a cause of the frustration and the anger and the anxiety. It is not a perception. It is a reality. As a matter of math, they are going backwards. And what they're saying is enough. 20 years of backwards motion has brought them to the point that they are at today. And I, my friends, stand with the working men and women of New York and New Jersey. Middle class wages, minimum wage has not kept pace with inflation. The middle class and working families are the backbone of this economy. They are the ones who make everything happen. It's not the elites, it's the working men and women who make this economy work. And remember, a job is not just a paycheck to people. A job is dignity. It is self-worth. It is respect. It is the basis of the relationship between employer and employee. It is optimism versus pessimism. It is whether or not you're fulfilling your responsibility for your family. It's whether or not you feel comfortable when you put your head on your pillow at night. And right now, too many people are scared and anxious and disappointed in their lot in life, and for good and justifiable reasons. Now, the economic inequality manifests itself in many ways. An unmotivated workforce, high turnover, poor performance, political resentment, and pressure. New York proudly is raising the minimum wage to $15 as the first state in the nation, and I am proud of it. I believe raising the minimum wage in New York has been a tremendous positive all across the board. It stimulates the economy because those wages that get into the pockets of the working families go immediately into the economy. They don't have the advantage of squirreling away and saving money and putting it in a bank. They need it to live. So that minimum wage increase goes immediately into the economy. It has increased pride among the workforce. It has increased service. It also has resolved some perverse inequalities. People on minimum wage often still qualify for public benefits. Why should taxpayers subsidize private employees of private corporations so they can make more money at taxpayers' expense? It is ludicrous. There is also an added complication for the Port Authority. You have two different minimum wages in New York and New Jersey. You are operating in New York and New Jersey. How can you operate with two different wage structures for essentially the same jobs, just miles apart? If you don't rationalize those wages, it will be operational chaos. And when you rationalize them, you must raise them. The port knows too well the importance of our airports, the millions of tourists, the millions of business people, the security measures that must be in place, the security improvements that must be in place. It is paramount that we have a well-trained, secure, stable workforce. You're building with bricks and mortar. You're investing in new equipment. Invest in your most important asset, which is your workforce. Fairness, diligence, good big business practices all bring one to the same obvious conclusion. Invest in the workforce, raise the minimum wage to $19 over 5 years. It is the right thing to do. It is the smart thing to do. And commissioners, let me end where I began. The Port Authority was designed to lead the nation. That's what the Port Authority is. That's how it was birthed. You are unique. You were a national experiment done in New York and New Jersey because the Northeast was more advanced. And the Port Authority was in many ways the ultimate public service vehicle. And people looked to the Port Authority. And you made history in the Port Authority. And you led the way for many, many states. You have the opportunity to do it again. You're building. You're leading the way in construction. Lead the way in human development and equity and fairness. Show this nation that you can restore the American Compact, which made this nation what it is. The fairness and decency of the compact. A fair day's pay for a fair day's work. That compact has been violated. And the anger and the frustration and the polarization arises out of the violation of that basic contract. Take this opportunity to say, we respect the working men and women of New York and New Jersey. We respect the American Compact. We understand the anger. We understand the frustration. We understand the inequity. We understand what it's like to go backwards for 20 years and how the resentments must raise. And answer that question. Raising the minimum wage to $19. It's smart, it's right, it's fair, and you will reap the benefits in dividends. Thank you for having me here today.